GM. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about how quickly things can change. So maybe this was your first experience of a crazy Bitcoin pump, or maybe it was the first time you saw something like the Akash, AKT, the Akash pump when the Coinbase listing was announced. Or maybe not. Maybe you've been here for a while and you've seen these things before, but you weren't positioned for it, or you were underexposed or sidelined or whatever. Take this as a reminder, and these are the days, if you played it well, good. You get to sit back and say, well done, we keep working. Don't get complacent, don't get lazy. The work continues. If you didn't play it well, it has to become a lesson. What is the lesson? What is the takeaway here for people if you're sidelined, if you're not long, if you miss the move? You have to understand that in a bull market, these type of days happen every now and then. Every couple of months, you have a move that actually goes higher and doesn't come back. Right? A lot of people talk about, it's going to be pullbacks, or waiting on a pullback, waiting on this, waiting on that. Unfortunately, for people sidelined, the type of move we saw today is typical of a move that doesn't pull back. Now, of course, there will be dips, there will be pullbacks in the market at some point. But generally, this type of move goes higher first, quite a bit higher, because the thrust and the impulse and the volume and the nature of it, not just Bitcoin, but the whole market, it's indicative of a move that goes because people are sidelined. And because they're sidelined, there's no immediate dip, and it goes higher and higher and higher and forces them to buy higher. Now, your job is not to buy here. That would be dumb. You have to have a reason, you have to have a plan, not to FOMO. But you have to understand where we're at. We are in an early stage bull. We are not at all-time highs yet across the majors. There's very few coins at all-time high. It's going to go much higher than you think. People are still thinking, is this a fast cycle? Is it going to end soon? Generally, that's the FOMO kicking in, where people who have missed the move are worried that the market's going to pass them by. So if that's you, I'm here to tell you, the market is not going to pass you by. A bull market does not happen in a day. But when you have a big crazy pump in a day, it makes you feel that way. That is literal FOMO, fear of missing out. So you can't go back in time and replay today. What you can do is remind yourself of this day and set a plan that you are going to get exposure wherever it is, right? Whatever your plan is, on the next pullback, on the next correction, the next time Bitcoin has a 10% down day, you're going to get into Bitcoin or altcoins or whatever. You're not going to wait for 30, 40, 50% like people kept waiting for, which just never came. Just make sure, if you're totally sidelined, make sure that you get into the market at some point, right, in the next, couple of months. Okay? That's number one. You have to let go of this idea about buying lower. In a bull market, there are times where it's just going to go up and you will not buy lower. Now, can we go to 40, 45, 48, 52? I don't know. We can go anywhere. Anywhere is possible. But you have to look at what's unfolding in front of you and say, that, whether it goes to a certain price, is not as important as me doing the right things. If you're here and you're checking in every day and you're logging on, you're doing your analysis, you need to have exposure to the market because it's a bull market, and you don't want to look back in future and say that you were sidelined and missed the whole move because you're waiting for some kind of big crash. Now, the other thing, the people who are in the best position today are the people who had already gotten themselves into position by buying spot or getting long or whatever. It's not people who caught the perfect breakout on the pump. The vast majority of people, like many of you listening to this, like me and people you see in the campus, we're happy today just because our portfolio is going up, not because we had to buy exactly today. That work was done months ago. But the work was not done on a day like today. Right? I never buy spot Bitcoin on a day like today. Not after the pump. No way. But if I see a big pump like this and it goes to 55 and I'm like, wow, that's further confirmation that Bitcoin is super strong. That means buy the next dip. Whether that's to 50 or 45, or maybe we go higher first to 60 and then the dip is only to 56 or 55 or 52. Nobody knows exactly. But when you get these strong moves up, the worst thing to do is FOMO straight in, because there's no plan there. But if you're seeing strong moves and then you say that move should signal higher, then the plan, the play, the approach should be buy the next dip. And a really simple rule of thumb, if you look around today, you'll see everyone's happy, everyone's euphoric, everyone's seeing their portfolios rising. Okay, so everyone's in a good mood. The next time you feel bad, feel scared, it feels like shit, you feel like you don't want to buy. The next time you see a lot of negativity, maybe you hear about people getting liquidated or getting stopped out or losing a bunch of money, that is the time that you should be considering buying. Buying spot, not leverage. This is if you need to get more money into the market. Because the days like today are built off of the back of the bad days. It's only 2-3 weeks since we had a big leverage flush. It's only 4 weeks since Bitcoin went down 23%, and everyone was calling ETF sell the news. This is all a scam. You're idiots. The bull market was never here. You're deluded. We're going to 10K. That was only 4 weeks ago. But those 4 weeks, that pullback those 4 weeks ago, that set up what we're seeing today. That's how the market goes. It moves up to make people really euphoric, then it crashes down to make them scared and panic and sell, and then it moves up again. You're not trying to time all of these moves. Your first and foremost approach should be, I want to get in when it doesn't feel good, so that whenever everyone's euphoric, I'm already in from much lower. Then you have a decision to say, okay, is this an area I would like to take profit, or is this just one more step along the bull market path? If I was in I have a Bitcoin long trade open, a short term, like a day trade, and taking profit on some of that would be something I would do around here. But that's not the point. The cycle bags, my spot bags, my Bitcoin, my Akash, and all of that, not even considering taking profit here. Which you might say, well, that's crazy. Don't you think there's going to be a pullback? I was like, yeah, there's probably going to be a pullback. You'll probably pull back a little bit. But it's not the cycle top, in my opinion. It is one step closer to all-time high, at which point we go even further, and I think that the market continues much more. So on those days, you want to have the luxury of having been in from lower. It's going to always feel like you're late, but if you think there's a bull market, if you accept there's a bull market, and if you think that there is a probability that things go much higher, right, that we go back to old all-time highs, which is like a 2-3x from here on the total market cap of altcoins, then it's rising, yes. It's going up, yes, but it's still early. Both of those things can coexist. And if you're here, ask yourself, how would you feel 6 months from now if everything is 50 to 100% higher and you're still waiting? There isn't really a perfect time. There isn't going to be a specific price level. The number one thing is, when can I get in? And the time to get in is when you don't really want to. So this is a bit of a public service announcement. First of all, resist the temptation to do something emotional like getting super long here, especially with leverage. If you're going to buy anything here, buy a coin that you have already researched and has shown a strong daily move that you can buy spot on, and be aware that it might go sideways or down a little bit, but it's probably going to go higher in future if it's a good project with a good chart and the setup is there. Don't touch any leverage here. Leverage is already starting to come in. There is going to be a big down candle at some point. Maybe not today, probably not even this week. But there's going to be a big flush at some point, because this is always what happens. The people who miss the move, they chase it with leverage, get shaken out. But the people who come in and say, okay, that was a strong move, I missed it, but I'm going to buy some spot on the next pullback, or buy some spot on this altcoin because it hasn't pumped yet. Those people always end up fine, because they don't put themselves in a position to get taken out of the market. The only thing that you could do now that would make it worse, if you're not long, if you're sidelined, the only way you can make it worse is by adding a leverage trade that can get stopped out or liquidated. even if you bought spot here, which I'm not necessarily recommending, but even if you bought spot Bitcoin here at 54, we could drop to 50, go sideways for a few weeks, and then go all the way to 70, and you're back in profit. Spot is your friend on whatever coin it is. Leverage is your enemy if you're not using it responsibly. And the absolute worst time to use it is on a day like today. So focus very much on your plan, your process, and your psychology.